I'm Justin Davis, and this is Drone Camps RC. What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Drone Camps channel. I'm Justin Davis. Today we're sitting here at my desk, and it includes a little bit of everything: my editing station, my DJ setup, my soundboard, some fancy, lighting here, kind of. But I have to say that, first of all, I apologize for not uploading some reviews and fun stuff for you guys last week, because I was on my first vacation in about 6 years. Went down to Tahoe for 4 or 5 days, do some snowboarding, and had a fantastic time. Didn't come back with any injuries, so that's like good news, and I had a lot of fun riding Tahoe. It's the first time I've ever snowboarded on the West Coast. I've been out here since around 2012, so that was a really fun experience for me to not fall and feel like I'm landing on solid ice like East Coast snowboarding. But I had a fantastic time, and today I'm back for a new review for you guys. Another Cinewhoop. The Cinewhoop fleet is really growing in the Drone Camp shop here. I have something new from AuroraRC. This is the HD version of the Demon. So this is a little 4S or 3S Cinewhoop. 2-inch props, 25 amp ESCs on here, Cadex Nebula Vista on here, and running up to about 700 milliwatt DJI FPV. Very compact and lightweight. It is a cruiser, it's not a freestyle quad. So this one has some different setup on this one that I'm going to show you that is really fantastic in comparison to some of the other ones. So they kind of did a few different versions of this one over the past 6 months, and this is the latest one that's available. So you'll see it's even a little bit different than the one you see on the Banggood website. This is the version you'll get in the mail if you make the order. So a lot of cool things about this one, and we're going to tell you in this review what it can do, what it can't do, and I'm going to show you some video. We're going to fly it on 4S. The 4S 650 is the battery to go for on the Demon HD. So a very durable little quad. Different than the Egg 2 that we reviewed last week. I believe that one of the last reviews I did before I took off on vacation on you guys was the Egg 2. And the Egg 2 is also 2-inch, but the biggest difference there is the Egg 2 has inverted motors. This one has upright motors. True X quad Cinewhoop design with foam bumpers all the way around. TPU mount on the top with a couple little horns, and you could mount an action cam on top of this one if you want to. Decased GoPro, or maybe an Insta360 Go 2 that's coming out. So new camera on the way from Insta360. I'm super excited. I've got one coming for you guys to review on the channel. But today, let's go ahead out now. Let me show you how fun it was to fly it, and actually how precise this little guy can fly. So extremely good at slow, sort of exploratory flying through small gaps. And we're going to take it up around this crane, and then we'll do some flying out in the field around some trees and do some canopy exploration in some of those tree canopies. Super fun stuff with the Demon HD. So let's go ahead and fire it up, guys. Let's get the flight test started. After that, we'll come back, put it on the bench with the rest of the Cinewhoops over there to my left. Here we go, guys. Let's fire it up. HD. Is that a cool looking little Cinewhoop or what? Super compact, punky, carbon hybrid, sort of nylon ducted plastic frame here with the EVA foam bumpers all the way around. It's nice that they also give you an additional foam here in case this one sort of breaks up, or in a crash, maybe you tear it up. I felt like this one was particularly durable. I did bounce it around, and the foam bumpers work great. So if you're a beginner, start out with this quad on 3S. If you are going to go DJI FPV for your first FPV experience, you're gonna love it. I've had some guys recently say that they started out on DJI FPV. So not even doing analog to start out with, which is interesting. So it's like it's like the generation that remembers the internet before it became high speed. We were just kind of crawling along, and that's the biggest difference between, you know, analog video 5.8 is kind of like old school VHS now. And so with DJI digital, it looks great. The Nebula Pro looks fantastic on here. The video that you record to the goggles, to me, looks good enough to not even have to have an action camera on top, because when you're sharing on social media, the DJI DVR is superior to any other video system out there. So for around the $300 price point, you're getting a quad here that's going to be way more durable even than the DJI FPV drone. So if you break this one, you can get parts for it. It is hobby grade, which means you can replace the motors and everything on here, including the ducts. And inside the box, I think I got an extra duct as well. So you also get an extra strap, some extra bolts for your props, and these are Gemfan 2036 props. So 2-inch prop on here, and they're using the quad blade props, which is nice. And we have 1204 series motors. We have 5,000 kV on those, and those are the RCN power motors. And man, these are nice, because on a 4S 850, I'm getting like an 8-minute flight time. And that's great. And for me, I felt like the 650 it felt better to fly, and had less tumble. The heavier battery you get on this particular frame, the more tumble you're going to get. In other words, the flight controller is going to be kind of losing itself in tight, high-speed cornering. So that's one thing to think about there. So you do have a lot of high weight, extra weight up here with this type of canopy. The TPU setup here is pretty durable. If you break this, you must be doing something super crazy, because this TPU canopy with combination of this camera shroud right here is like one of the most durable ones I've seen, and way more durable than anybody sitting back here. So the Wingsuit S has a pretty nice TPU front there, but no camera protection up front. So this thing is ready made to crash. And if you look on the bottom, we have this carbon frame down here, 3mm beveled edges with the bolts going through to the motors, through the prop guards. And essentially, these are prop guards. They're not really ducts. They're almost deep enough to be a duct, but they do allow it to flip. I was able to get this to flip and roll without a whole lot of tumble and washout. When I put more throttle into it, this guy would completely lose it. So one thing to think about there, it's not going to be a freestyle quad, but if you're looking for like the ultimate cruiser with HD experience on here, this quad is really, really nice for that. And that's specifically what a lot of these Cinewhoops are for. The duality doesn't really exist with a lot of the Cinewhoops out there. It's very rare to be able to have one of these that does freestyle and cinema. So without having that tumble, the flight controller freak out. So the good news is that the tumble that I had with this one wasn't severe enough to have it crash into the ground. So everything came back in one piece, and it actually looks brand new still. Didn't even get any grass up inside the ducts with this. So you can tell that I had a good time with it, and I came home with it without having any damage or even getting a lot of dirt and stuff on it. So we have that bottom mount battery there. We have a little 3M sticky pad on the bottom. You'll have to cut that and put it on there yourself. And we have reinforced carbon bottom plate here. It's a unibody style bottom plate true X design. It is 100 millimeter from motor to motor here, and 2-inch props like we said before. It has an F4 flight controller again with 25 amp ESCs. So I think my recommendation for this one for you guys is definitely to start out on 3S. I think the 3S 650 is probably going to get you about 7 minutes flight time, and it's going to be ultra smooth cruiser for you. And even on 3S, you're going to get a decent punch out. The 4S punch out with this guy was like straight through the roof. So great punch out. And I think that AuroraRC is kind of onto something here. I'd like to see future versions of the Demon come out, and maybe even with a little more beastie horns coming off here. So I feel like these horns could be just like a little bit bigger. What do you guys think? But it's kind of a cool concept, and many of these companies are coming out with something that kind of stands out in the crowd. They have all their own color combos there, and I like this canopy better than some of the other ones out there. And this one happens to not show the ducks up front, so you're still getting like cinema quality footage, but you're not seeing the prop guards up front. So even though it is a top mount, so this is more of a traditional quad design, and most of the Cinewhoops have that camera out front. So all these other guys back here have the camera up front, which allows you not to see the prop guards. But even still, with this design, you don't see the prop guards, and kind of a cool looking little quad. Cherry antenna in the back. And the other thing that I liked about this one was that it does have a full-size beeper on there. So that's mounted in the very back, and that baby is loud. This is a beeper that's been around for, well over 5 years in the RC hobby, maybe even longer. They're super cheap, and it stayed on there in some of my crashes and tumbles. So very, very loud. You won't lose this out in the field. You'll be able to find it and hear it. So fully customizable in Betaflight, OSD, and all the bells and whistles on this one. And I'm glad to see that they use nice high quality motors on this design. So cheap parts to replace, I believe under $300. So this one turned out to be a lot of fun, and I had fun flying this one. This is one of the ones that I kept wanting to fly, so that's good news. But let's go ahead and put it on the scale, zero out the scale, and see what we get here. Let me tuck this up in here so it's not touching the bench, and I'll let you know what the weight is. 115.4 grams there, 115.5, and with the 4S 650 on there, it's going to get us up to just under 250 grams. We're looking at 193.3 grams, so under 200 grams. If you put an 850 on there, you're still going to be under 250 grams. That's really good. So under the FAA weight for registration and all that good stuff. And I'm seeing that these guys are really doing a lot of work on this series, so I like to see that they're doing multiple versions of this. That means that they're improving it for us, which is good news. And the good news is that it was fun to fly. It was one of those quads I just kept wanting to fly batteries on and keep flying. So you can check this one out in the link down below, the Demon HD, also the analog version, and you can check out my top 5 Cinewhoops for 2021. If you get anything on the channel from my links down below, it will benefit me. So, and the Camps Life channel here. So I appreciate you guys watching. Please do click subscribe, and check out my future videos coming up. I have some really cool stuff coming up, and those new Fat Shark goggles as well. So I will see you guys on the next one. Take care and be well and safe out there, guys.